Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. This is Kameel E. Gaines from the Rig on Wheels Show, your first ever truck driving recruitment show. And again, I am your host, the CEO and founder of Rig on Wheels Broker and Recruitment Services. And we have Mr. Robert Pierson, our favorite VP from MVT here. And this is, we know, featuring Mesilla Valley Transportation out in El Paso, but you're here in Houston again, so you starting to feel a lot more fonder of Houston, right?
Absolutely. Have a real estate agent looking for properties. Granted, my wife doesn't know that yet, but I feel like I should be. I've been here enough.
Yes, absolutely. So we are your ultimate destination when it comes to hot jobs, news, your industry news, insights. I already said hot jobs, and your recruitment tips. So definitely, let's get started.
Yeah, let's talk fuel. Fuel's been down the last 3 out of the 4 weeks, sitting at about 394 4 weeks ago with a little dip up, but now it's come all the way down to 378 a gallon. Definitely the spot market's not completely recovered yet, though we did see signs of that this week. So with that said, nice time to see the fuel prices continuing to go down. And then I know you had the fuel prices there for the upticks there.
Yeah, we got some fuel prices. I know, like you said, it hasn't fully recovered, but it is looking good. So dry van, which definitely is your wheelhouse, it is up 7.5 cents. So it is at 201 a gallon. I got my Dr. Penmanship
No,
here.
that's fuel. Or that's freight.
That's freight. What
Freight.
I said, fuel.
You said fuel.
Oh, not fuel.
No, fuel's down, freight's up.
Yeah, freight is up 7.5 cents. So we're at 201, and then flatbed is 2 cents up at 245, and reefer is up 13 cents at 240. So we are going in the right direction with diesel going down and freight going up. The other F word.
I think the encouraging number in that dry van rate, because it's been fluctuating about a penny a mile, is the 4.9 loads to every truck. That had been sitting at about a 3-to-1 ratio for the last 3 months. So that's the first time we've seen a spike like that in number of loads versus number of available units. There's still some cheap freight out there, but what's happening is a lot more people are looking at that cheap freight and going, sorry. And, you know, the thing that for anybody that's been on the spot market, when you call in to pick up that load, they have all the leverage. When they call you to get the load, you have all the leverage in that environment right now. So a lot more brokers are doing much more outbound calling than they would have been doing about 3 months ago. That's extremely encouraging. And it applies even if you're with a carrier like ourselves that don't do a lot of spot market. We primarily have contracted freight. As you negotiate out long-term rates, that becomes much easier because it's hard to negotiate long-term rates when your customer is sitting there going, but I can go to the broker boards and do it dirt cheap. So we all play from the same sandbox. You separate yourselves one of two ways. You're either the cheapest carrier, which I would argue is not a toy box you want to be playing in, or you build yourself on service. Now, even then, though, when there's a huge margin of difference between contracted rate and broker rate, it's hard to convince someone to pay for quality by such a large margin.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. When do you think it's going to start leveling out, though?
Well, so it's interesting. Transport Topics and FreightWaves talked about it recently here. Leveling out subjective. I think it's going to be much more market specific. One market will be up while another market doesn't look like it's improving very much. One of the things that Transport Topics is covering, though, is a strong hurricane season could flip the switch immediately. If you remember post-COVID, as we went into the pandemic, we had about 3 months that were really, really soft, and then it became an arms race really quick. God forbid, I hope there's no major hurricanes, but if there is a hurricane, the margin's so tight between what the drug clearinghouse is taking as far as available capacity drivers, between aging population of the workforce. Realistically, if we see a 5% increase in freight, when you take away what's been taken out of the industry, it's going to feel like 15%. And if anything disrupts supply chain in this country, it could be a hurricane, it could be an earthquake, it could be some other thing that we're not even thinking about right now. We will go to post-pandemic levels fairly quick. And of course, we always have to sprinkle some salt in there. We are in an election year. Election years tend to be somewhat shaky because most businesses can't make long-term decisions until they know what playbook we're going to be going off of.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be shaky. With that said, there is some optimism here. We have fewer drivers on the road. We're starting to see the spot market improve. 7.5 in the dry van market gets me really excited. There's some opportunity here, and I can tell you from our vantage point, our customers appear to be busy. We one of the metrics that we look at is how many of our trailers are being pre-booked for future loads. We have a large trailer pool of about 6,400 trailers. We have the vast majority of those being reserved. So there's a use for those trailers. We do not have a lot of trailer capacity just sitting, which is a barometer for us that generally gets us excited about the next 30 days.
I like that. What I want to talk about, do you have something else to talk about?
No.
Okay, because what I want to talk about next segment is because you brought out something about the weather and things flipping the switch and my power is off at home and all that type of stuff, is talking about like the bad weather and how things are drastically changing, and the fact that MVT is having to make changes literally right now. Fleet managers, dispatchers are going crazy because tornado hit in Dallas. Houston, the world is ending as we speak.
It feels like it, yes.
Yes, I drove in it. And then, so what's going on as a major carrier? How are you still going to be keeping the drivers busy when things like that are happening? And then how are drivers to keep themselves safe? So, Kayla, if you can take us to commercial, and then when we come back, that's definitely what I want to talk about. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Okay, so as promised, first thing I want Pierson to literally tell us, since a tornado today again hit DFW area and is doing, first of all, I want everybody to be safe, whether you're in the offices, taking care of all the freight, and then especially the drivers that are on the road. So if you are a driver that is on the road, how does MVT handle that situation?
Well, we continuously give weather updates. So if we know that you're going to be in path, and we pre-plan 2 to 3 days in advance, so we have a general idea that you're going to be in the path of potentially inclement weather. You don't know what that might be that far in advance.
Okay.
But there's generally 2 and 2. Hey, heads up, there's going to be storms in your area. Be cognizant of the storms. The other part of that is when it starts to get very specific on where you're located, what one driver experiences compared to another driver that's 15 miles away could be drastically different.
Yeah.
So as an example, as I landed here in Houston today, to the west of us, about 15 miles away, it was a downpour, flooding, going crazy. It was pretty sunny at the airport. I wouldn't have known the difference except for some dark clouds off in the distance. So as we communicate to our drivers, hey, expect this weather, that communication also comes back because we have to communicate to the customer. You know, the customer may have an aunt driving in DFW and goes, oh, she was fine. She didn't notice anything. Well, yeah, but she could have been in Hutchins and you're in Saginaw. You're in
Right.
two very different areas. And so the key is us communicating the driver communicating with us, and us ultimately communicating with the customer. Our customers, though they have very strict demands on being on time, they're very realistic about what is realistic. Their big thing they ask for is communication. When bad stuff's going to happen, let us know. We can adjust, we can get our stores ready, our DCs ready. And so the key part on our end here is over communicating, us to the driver, driver to us, us to the customer. That communication piece is the big part of that equation. If any one of those three steps breaks down, this doesn't work very well and things fall apart very quickly. So again, long-term planning based off of weather, you pre-plan your trip around said weather. Additionally, we communicate any updates that become available. So we are connected to the National Weather Service. So if a tornado hits, if flooding hits, we get all that information. We communicate it out specifically to the drivers in that pathway. But the big thing with us is we're in a very customer-centric business. We got to communicate to them. If we don't communicate and then we're late, trust me, any shipper right now is looking at that as a deadly sin at this point. So our big thing is at some point something is going to go wrong. If we communicate, though, it generally is going to be okay.
Okay, so drivers, I got your back because I know what you're thinking. Okay, I know what you're thinking because I'm putting on my driver hat now. Not really. I barely can drive my car. But literally, I'm just thinking. I know that you are saying that it's the pathway and all of that. And I have been where Houston will say, this is where it is. And then the next thing you know, right in front of me is all black. My car radio does all this funny stuff. Stuff starts flying everywhere, all of that. Literally, what does a truck driver do when things in front of him are flying around?
Yeah, when you can't operate safely, take the truck off the road.
Okay.
And I will point to this. One of the things that will hurt a driver's career is a rollover accident.
Okay. Yes.
So as an example, if you have 40,000 pounds in the trailer or you have 12,000 pounds in the trailer, you have to account for the weather differently in that scenario. So if you have a crosswind and you have a $12,000 or a 12,000 pound load of potato chips, 40 mile an hour crosswinds can do a lot of damage and send you flying with that light load. If on the flip side you have, I don't know, some kind of paper product that's 45,000 pounds, you're probably okay in that 40 mile an hour wind, depending on gusts and a few other factors. The big thing as a driver is we definitely want to be on time. It is okay to say, I don't feel safe. This could be a problem as long as it's communicated. Because again, we got to communicate with the customers. If we don't communicate, the customer assumes everything's fine. You will not have a dispatcher. A lot of the dispatchers with us are former drivers, in particular with us. You will not have a fleet manager telling you, come on, you can do it. Somebody else did it. Again, one of the things that you have the advantage of as a driver, though, is you have boots on the ground. You physically see the weather. So we look at the National Weather Service, we look at weather radars and a number of other pieces of information. But you know the road conditions. You get to see the road conditions, the traffic, how the four-wheelers are reacting to it, stuff that there's no technology that exists that I get that same feedback at this moment. So the key piece as the driver is from a professional standpoint, it is unsafe to move forward. I can't afford a rollover.
Yeah.
I might be dealing with there's too much congestion, there's too much standing water. It makes sense to go ahead and say, I'll pull over, let the weather pass, and then I'll move forward.
And to piggyback on what you said, especially when you said the fleet managers and dispatchers, especially at MVT, majority of them have been drivers before.
Yeah.
So this goes to what I just jotted down. It's similar to basketball IQ. I used to be a basketball mom, right? So basketball IQ, and that does not happen immediately just because you know how to dribble or you're really good at free throws. It takes time. Someone has to teach you the game, but it actually takes time playing the game, being in the actual game for an extended period of time, and not extended period of time at that one game, extended period of time over longevity to have basketball IQ. So that's similar to having driver IQ.
Yep.
That's a new term that I just made up, I hope. Okay. So who teaches the driver this? Who is actually the one that coaches the driver to help them along the way? This mentorship is what I'm talking about, to teach the driver this, because this does not happen in school.
Yeah.
To teach the driver this, and then once they start teaching the driver this, a two-part question: how many years, because not months, does it take for them to get driver IQ to understand what you just said?
Well, it really, that saying, it takes a village. It's not one person. It's the fleet manager. It's other drivers, professional drivers. We have a department in our company called Driver Services that specifically works on career development with our drivers, and it's 1,000 points in between. It is literally all sorts of communication, from safety to the fleet manager, load planners. Part of it's us educating customers on what's realistic and not realistic. There's people in the flatbed world that have Conestoga trailers where they don't tarp it, and a lot of customers will go, "Well, I want the load tarped," and you have to understand, why do you want it tarped? Well, for load securement. A tarp's not about load securement. That's not what it's about. In all fairness, you have to teach the customer. Part of our job isn't just with the driver, it's educating the customer on what's realistic, what's not realistic, why the driver needs to pull over in that certain type of weather. So we may have a conversation, if it's potato chips compared to heavy paper product, there's some education in that relationship with the customer that takes place of, hey, we did have a couple trucks going forward, but their load was 30,000 pounds heavier. They weren't dealing with the same mathematics that your load was.
Right.
So part of it's that education part on that with the driver. With the driver getting to where they have that type of savvy, I think it varies by individual. I've seen drivers I've seen drivers 9 months into it that a couple quarters ago, we had 2 drivers that got the best MPG bonus in the company at 12.6.
That definitely takes the savvy that we're looking for.
They had 9 months of experience in the industry, and it wasn't
Yeah.
luck that got them there. With that said, too, I think there's some that, it takes them 3, 4, 5 years to finally get to where they hit that sweet spot in their career and go, I got it figured out. The key then you run into the dangerous part. There's a certain element to being a driver and being scared that's really valuable. When a driver stops being scared, if you look, as people get into the industry, your student drivers are typically the one to more likely put wear and tear on the truck. They will have much more of the minor accidents, bumping into things. Your large-scale major fatal accidents tend to happen with somebody with 20 plus years of experience. They stop being scared. So I think the key thing is drivers can get to that spot anywhere between 9 months to 5 years. The key part of that, after you get past that 5-year period, is to still have the, for lack of a better word, a little humbleness about it. And know that all it takes is just one moment of doing something stupid that, crap, I just screwed it up. And hopefully it's something minor where you lose your job, but you got caught with a cell phone while you're moving down the road. Hopefully that moment of clarity of, I got to be scared again, is not a fatal accident.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you said that it depends on the driver, and the same thing with basketball. It depends. It's a great.
If you look at the GOAT in basketball, Michael Jordan, he had a lot of great qualities in the 80s, did a lot of cool stuff, but couldn't get past the Pistons or before that the Celtics. It wasn't until he was about year 8 that he was always a good defender, but he started getting defensive players of the year, started to get some more assists, steals, and his game become rounded out, that arguably Michael Jordan in the 1990s did historic things, literally 2 different three-peats. It took him some time. No one says in the 80s he wasn't a great player.
Right.
Jordan in Chicago, you would know, was very popular back then. But as he grew, as he got better, as he changed his game and made modifications to it, he was a drastically different player in the 90s than he was in the 80s. As any type of professional, be it a truck driver, be it a dispatcher, be it what I do in recruiting, what you do with Rig on Wheels, it is that ability to have benefit from your traits that brought you to the dance, but be humble and adapt and grow and change and get better on a constant basis that will make you have long-term success.
And always willing to educate yourself.
Yep. Yep.
Always willing to do that. So I 100% agree with that.
The day that you think you have it all figured out, something bad's going to happen.
Yeah, agree with that. So that definitely answers my questions when it comes to the safety and how to handle it on the road and all of that. Now, for the driver, how does the dispatcher handle it? Because now they're kind of caught in the fleet manager, right? So that's that middle manager situation. Nobody, that's a really bad position to be in any company, is the middle manager, because you have the Piersons over here and then you have the ones that are underneath.
I envy our fleet managers, though, because we talked about the benefit of eyes and ears on the ground. Depending on the division, because not all fleet managers do the exact same type of job, depending on division and a number of other factors. There's some fleet managers that may have only 30 drivers that they're working with. There may be a fleet manager that's on a division where they can have 60 to 65 and still offer a high level of customer service to the driver. The nice thing for the fleet manager, though, is they get a lot of different perspectives on what's going on the road, what drivers see in terms of freight, camaraderie, the feedback from their fellow drivers. That fleet manager is really important in the discussion process because they see things from 30 different opinions. That has some real value. And they grow because of that. So as we talked about the driver's career developing, the driver is part of what develops that fleet manager's career. And some of our best fleet managers would have been with us 10 years ago and would have been different fleet managers, but they grew, they adapted, part out of necessity, and part out of it is you get the advantage of 30 to 60 other people's experience to grow. That's a big deal. That fleet manager works with the load planner to go ahead and pre-plan 2 to 3 days in advance. Between that, they deal directly with the customer to make sure that communication barrier is not being broken. It becomes really, really important that I describe a fleet manager as the WD-40 in the relationship. Theoretically, a driver might on a load board dispatch themselves, and theoretically you could AI the hell out of this process. That fleet manager is really needed. They're the ones that put the thought into it of, wait, why are we doing this? This driver has these preferences that they like. This customer has these preferences that they like. And they end up coming in and connecting those dots, become really, really important. If you want to see a good company versus a bad company, start with the fleet managers. You'll figure out real quick. It's a common denominator. If you see a company that's doing well, that's profitable, that's successful operationally, they tend to have really savvy fleet managers that have really good relationships with their drivers. If you go into a company from my time consulting where they never seem to be able to make money, their turnover is constantly high, sit in the operations floor, you'll figure out very quickly you don't have good fleet managers. It's not luck that forces those two things to happen.
I definitely agree there. I like that you said that. Kayla, any questions? I just want to kind of stop midway through and ask, are there any questions? Okay. So Kayla said no questions at the moment. Okay, great. So what I want to do is go ahead, go to commercial. If you all have any questions, go ahead, start typing them in, texting them in. I'll make sure I look at my text as well. Texting them in at 281-968-3100, 281-968-3100. So go ahead. Let's go to commercial, Kayla, and then we're going to come back and start talking about 3 hot divisions. One so hot we don't even have a map for it yet. So that's how hot it is. So let's go ahead and go to commercial, and then we'll get to these 3 divisions.
Hello, everybody. I'm DeAnthony Davis. I'm a truck driver from Cleveland, Texas. I've been driving for 3.5 years now. I recently saw a podcast with Rig on Wheels on YouTube. I gave them a call. They was fast, they was efficient, they helped me out. I didn't really want to be over the road, so they got me a good regional job. And hey, you should give them a call.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Okay, so we are ready for these hot jobs. So, Vanna, let's go ahead and put up division 410. Oh, okay, 230. 230. That we'll go with that one. Let's go with the Tesla.
Yeah, we can do 230. Primary customer for about 60% of the freight on 230 is going to be Tesla, as Kameel pointed out there. Very valuable customer. And as they continue to expand out their footprint in the Austin area, this division will morph with that as well. Primarily, we hire out of El Paso, San Antonio, and recently we added the hiring area of Laredo, Texas, looking for solo drivers or teams on this. Nice weekly home time, running into Northern California for the most part, going back into South Texas or back up towards El Paso. Average drivers making about $13.50 to $16.50 a week, depending on previous experience. We reward those with more experience. Really good, strong pay rate on that. A lot of drop and hook, and really attractive running area here. You're running the southwestern U.S. You're not going to deal with a lot of tornadoes. You're not going to deal with a lot of hurricanes there in the southwest U.S. So really nice area to run, good geography, great customer. Tesla does really well for us. All drop and hook, don't require any type of endorsements. It's all drive-in. You are paid for your expertise behind the wheel. And Tesla is a close partner with us. A lot of the nice thing with this one is it's not very seasonal. They tend to be very consistent. So I know one of the questions we got asked a couple weeks ago is, hey, Tesla stock hasn't done so well here. Not impacted our freight at all on this account in particular. So the freight volumes are not equal to or have any correlation. Am I saying the word wrong? I think
Correlation.
Correlation. Thank you.
Look at me.
Look
Who
at
would have
you.
thought?
Miss Webster here.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, absolutely looking for about 10 drivers for Division 230, either out of El Paso, Laredo, or San Antonio. Can you bring up Division 410? 410. So if you live out of Nashville, Tennessee, or Lexington, Kentucky, we're looking for drivers basically to run the southern Great Lakes states as well as the southeast U.S. Never too far from home. Again, weekly home time, nice productivity bonus with this. So the average driver is making $16.50 a week. That's on their base rate. Ends up being about $85,000 a year. However, one of the nice things here is you have a productivity bonus with this. So as an example, if you run 10,000 miles for the month, the average is about 12, but let's say you run 10,000 miles for the month. Retroactively, if you have no tickets, no accidents, no late deliveries, no late times leaving the house from your reset, you'll get an extra 2 cents retroactively on all your miles. If you hit 12,000 miles, instead of the 2 cents, we'll give you a 5 cent per mile raise on all your miles ran for the month. The nice thing with that figured monthly is, let's say something happens, life doesn't go as planned, and you get a speeding ticket in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. It stinks. You don't get the productivity bonus that month, but the next month is a brand new month. So you have that opportunity available to you. So be sure to ask about the productivity bonus. Again, making about $85,000 when you add the bonuses in there, about $94,000 a year on this. Need to live within 50 miles of Nashville, Tennessee, or 30 miles of Lexington, Kentucky. Definitely a good opportunity for us there. And then the position that we don't actually have the map made up for at this moment, but we're starting to grow, is Division 320. So 320 is a division that primarily all roads lead out of Mount Vernon, Texas.
You could wait a minute. You could take the map down now, Vanna. Yeah,
There we
thank
go.
you. Yeah, because we
So
don't have one yet.
Division 320, all roads lead out of Mount Vernon. We run about 60% of this is Lowe's, and then freight all kinds make up the other 40%. We're looking for 2 experienced drivers based in Amarillo, Texas. So what you do is from Amarillo, you go down to Mount Vernon, and from Mount Vernon, you might go down on a run to San Angelo, to Austin, to Laredo, and back up towards Mount Vernon again, back and forth. You will get home to Amarillo every 3 to 4 days, and you'll do your reset in Amarillo once you've exhausted your miles. Our drivers on this, so you're intrastate Texas the entirety of this week there. You're going to be making about $13.75 to $15.95 per week. Really good opportunity, consistent pay. You're never too far from home. You will be in the state of Texas the entirety of your time. So we need 2 to 3 drivers based in Amarillo, Texas on this account. So Amarillo is not an area we've been looking very often. So if you live in Amarillo, Texas, again, talk to your recruiter about Division 320, looking for 2 drivers on that end.
Okay, you said 2 to 3 drivers?
Yep.
Okay.
With that said, if you didn't see a division that we covered today that covers the market that you live in, be sure to still reach out to us. We're actively, Mesilla Valley Transportation specifically, is looking at markets like Phoenix, Portland, Oregon, Salt Lake City, Albuquerque, El Paso, Las Cruces, San Antonio, Laredo, Dallas, Fort Worth, all over the DFW marketplace. We have a terminal there in Hutchins, as well as a yard over in Saginaw on the other side of town. Houston, Texas, Nashville, Memphis, Jacksonville, Louisville, Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky, St. Louis. And so if you live in any of those markets, or you live anywhere else in the country, Rig on Wheels works with 40 plus other customers that as clients of theirs, that allows you the opportunity. So if you didn't hear a market that fits where you live, it's still worth calling the number on the screen right there and talking with the folks that work with Kameel, because hopefully you're going to be my coworker. But if we're not the right fit for you, Kameel's got 40 other options that you can be looking at.
Thank you. We do have 40 other options. However, while you were talking about that Division 320, I was typing it down and telling them, let's go ahead and get that closed, because you only need 2 to 3 drivers.
Yep.
So that definitely should come from Rig on Wheels. So if you are out of any of those areas, especially, how many miles from Amarillo? 50 miles of Amarillo. And what's the home time again?
Home every 3 to 4 days, and then when you get through your hours, you'll do your reset at home.
Okay, so home every 3 to 4 days, and then your home, your reset is at home. Okay, perfect. Definitely give us a call at 281-968-3100, 281-968-3100, or go directly to the website and click on driver application, and you will be able to fill out the what is it? See, now I messed it up.
I take back my nickname. You are not Miss Webster now.
Not Miss Webster.
No.
Autofill. There we go. Application. I messed it up. I'll get another try. I'll be Miss Webster in a few more moments. But go ahead and go to rigonwheels.com, and you'll be able to fill out the driver application, and it is autofill if you're already in the Intella app system. So that is it for all of the hot jobs. But like Pierson said, they hire other places, and there are a lot of other positions, but those 3 areas are hot, definitely. So any questions yet? Kayla, I definitely don't want to miss out on any questions this week.
Yeah. What kind of in-cab system do you offer at MVT?
Yeah, it's called Scientific Platform. It's got similarities to Qualcomm. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different. One of the things that's part of our orientation process is we will physically go through the in-cab communication, both as a group, collectively, as well as individually. Some people pick it up really, really quick. Other people need that individual one-on-one attention. And we go through scenarios where you're using it over and over and over again. even if you take company A and company B and they have the exact same in-cab communication, they personalized it to their company. Over time, they adapt it, they change it, they mold it. So in the world of recruiting, we have what's called 10 Street. 10 Street's used by about 1,100 different companies. But if you go from one company to the next over the course of time, one person's 10 Street versus another person's 10 Street looks wildly different. Same thing with trucking companies and their operating systems, if they're using AS400, if they're using TMS, or their in-cab communication, because they go through experiences where they modify it. So when we do orientation, which is approximately 2.5 days, we do that out of Nashville, we do it out of Laredo and El Paso, Texas. We value that time as being on the job. So you'll see some companies will pay you $50 a day. We generally pay a driver $500 for that same time period. And the reason we do that with our orientation pay is the fact that we view that it has to be commensurate with the amount you'd be making if you're running freight on the road. It should not, you're there for us. It's not like you're hanging out. We're doing each other the favor. It's not a one-way street. So we pay it at that time. And part of that 2.5 days is to get you prepared to be on the road and as effective as possible. The hardest part and why most companies see a really high turnover rate in that first 90 days of employment of a driver is the first 90 days is hard. We want to get you out of orientation. It's not just to cross T's and dot I's. We want to prepare you out on the road so that you can be effective and use that system. So again, we offer group training, individual training, and we pay you as though you're moving freight at $500 for that time. So one of the things to keep in mind there, if the purpose of the orientation isn't just to appease the FMCSA or DOT, but it's going to be going over the system so you can effectively start out on the road as though you've been doing it for 90 days already.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Any other questions, Kayla?
Yes. The next question I have is, how much driver support do you offer your drivers?
Yeah. So our fleet managers are not just hired and then left to their own devices. Our fleet manager goes through extensive training, both from a communication standpoint, as well as the systems they need to operate with the load planner to make sure that you're able to be pre-planned. Beyond just the fleet manager, we have an extensive network where the fleet managers are held accountable based off your success. The load planners understanding what your needs are on the road as they work with the customers. We have a department called Driver Services that literally is about career development, be it getting better MPGs, running safer, understanding processes and procedures. They're always available. And then additionally, let's say that you have a fleet manager that you don't get along with. Well, it's awkward if you're at a company and want to complain about Bill, but you got to call Bill to complain about Bill.
Yeah.
And you worry about things like retribution, as an example, because we're human. People get defensive. One of the things we have is We Care, which is both a phone number as well as an email. So if for whatever reason somebody's not answering your question or addressing something that's a concern, we have a general pool that there is always somebody available, be it your fleet manager, be it driver services, be it safety, be it the DOM or the director over that group of divisions, or just We Care in general. You will always 24/7, 365 have somebody to support you along the way.
Sounds good. I don't want to go to our next thing unless there's no other questions.
I do have one more question.
Oh, okay.
Do you offer performance or safety-based incentives?
Yeah. So on the division, like we talked about for Division 410, in that particular division, you get an extra 2 cents retroactively on all your miles, up to 10,000 miles. So once you hit 10,000, if you have no tickets, no accidents, and all on-time deliveries, we're going to retroactively pay you 2 cents a mile on all your miles. Once you hit 12,000, instead of the 2, we're going to go 5 cents on all that. So if you have no tickets, no accidents, no late deliveries, we're going to do that. We have different opportunities depending on the division, so it varies a little bit, but 410's out of the hot jobs, the easiest one to point to. So there's safety and productivity bonuses, and then I know later in the podcast we'll talk about the MPG bonus as well.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
I like that one a lot, especially the leaderboard.
We have quarterly driver appreciation. Ours is coming up this week for this quarter. We'll be holding it in Denver, our Hudson's Yard. We'll be holding it in not Houston, Laredo, El Paso, and Nashville. and very excited to see who's going to be the MPG winner. But yeah, that's part of the other support that you get as well, is where most companies in September will do driver appreciation. We do it once a quarter because we want to physically see you too. There's only so much support you can give somebody if you never lay eyes on them. So between the drivers, their spouses, their kids, we try to get together at least once a quarter and put eyes and ears with who our coworkers are.
You know what? That leads us. Let's go ahead and just go right into that. Let's do the commercial with the very handsome Carlos, his commercial, and then we'll start talking about the MPG, because you just led it right into that like it was psychic or something.
We got tons to talk about.
Yeah, we do. But I think that'll be good. Let's just jump right into that. So if we can do his commercial.
Carlos Vázquez, tengo trabajando 3 años aproximadamente y somos B1 y andamos en territorio Estados Unidos. Lo que me gusta de MVT es que tiene buenos viajes, buenos camiones y muy buenas millas. Mi comunicación con el despacho es muy buena y todo eso, y siempre están a la orden del día. ¿Qué pienso del equipo de los camiones? Pues que están muy bien y les dan sus mantenimientos, sus PO y todo lo demás, alineación y balanceo, todo, cambio de llantas y excelente servicio. La compañía cada trimestre regala un auto para los operadores. Me motiva pues a crecer más como persona y pues, para dar el 100, como dicen, para la compañía.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I told you all Pierson was just leading right into it. He didn't realize it, but he was leading right into it. So we'll be able to talk about the MPGs, especially because we have that coming up this week.
Yeah, absolutely. We so there, once you get the freight, once you get the truck, there's only 2 ways a company can really save money in a very narrow profit margin business. That ultimately is going to be either on driver pay, which we are not going backwards on driver pay.
Good.
Or it's on miles per gallon, your fuel economy, what kind of fuel economy you get. We take it extremely seriously. There's a lot of things we do to get good fuel economy, the type of truck that we have, the fact that if you get a clean truck, you'll get basically 0.2 of a mile per gallon better fuel economy. There's a lot of little things, but the biggest thing is driver behavior on the road. Our drivers are what gets us the best fuel economy possible. And that happens from good pre-planning, pre-trip inspections, how you accelerate, how you utilize the topography, the hills to get the best MPGs, how as a driver you don't keep getting on and off the road, you don't hard brake, you don't hard accelerate. These type of things all start to add up to the point where in our industry we average about 6.5 miles a gallon. As a company, we average about 9.5 miles per gallon. Consistently, our best quarterly MPG right now tends to be around 12.4 to 12.6 miles a gallon, which is a huge difference compared to what the industry average is. Again, the number one reason for that is our drivers. And so our drivers, literally, we have an ongoing board that shows where you are as a driver with your MPGs versus your peers. I can tell you it comes from all experience levels. It comes from all backgrounds. We've had a team with 9 months of experience win the best MPG for the quarter. We've had 20-year veterans turn around and win the MPG for the quarter. We've had people that were middle of the pack that 1 quarter later they were the winners of it. So whoever has the best MPGs, what we do every quarter is we give them a brand new car. So it's normally a 2023 Nissan Sentra. It's a big thing. Royal Jones comes out. He loves doing it because he wants to be the one to physically give you the keys. We do it at one of our driver appreciation events. So generally, if you're at a driver appreciation event, and it seems like there's a lot of people with cameras and video recorders, that's a good sign. Somebody's probably there to get that. And we give them that brand new car. Additionally, if anybody gets it for the year, where they have the best MPG over the course of the year, we give them a $25,000 bonus. It's bragging rights as a driver. The fleet managers take pride in it. So if you have a fleet manager that somebody off their board gets that, they have a bit of a pimp walk as they walk through the operations floor there. It's a big deal. Yeah. And we work with you on it. So like I said, you may be middle of the pack today. Between driver services, your fleet manager, Penske, there's a whole team that can work with you on how we'll get better fuel economy. it becomes a goal for us to see who's going to stretch out that record and who's going to be the next person to walk away with a brand new car.
Well, look at me. I'm about to be Miss Webster again.
Let's do it.
I got a big word. Team. So,
Yes.
so tell us, you got a team. How do you split it?
Generally, we'll do the money because it turns out if you cut a car in half, the depreciation is significant on that vehicle. So in the case of that team that won it a couple quarters ago, they took the cash value, split it in half. Happy to do that, and somebody else will get the car the following quarter. So the big thing with us, and there's always conspiracy theories around it, well, this division's more likely to get it, or I have to be with MVT for 20 years. Like I said, all walks of life. We've had every division have a winner in it. And it's been people with 9 months of experience in the industry, not just with us, but in the industry, as well as the 20-year vet. The key is, this is like the turtle and the hare, the race of the turtle and the hare.
Right.
The person going 75 down the road consistently gets bad MPGs. You'll hear all sorts of reasons why. They'll go, oh, the sweet spot on my truck, 78 miles an hour. But they're averaging 5.5 miles a gallon. That's not the sweet spot on the truck.
At all.
It is patience. It is understanding the value. If you're coming off the West Coast, of letting the Santa Ana winds push you back to Texas. It's, hey, I'm going through the mountains here. I need to slow it down a little bit. You know what? I may annoy the person behind me, but they're not. They're a four-wheeler going on vacation. I'm trying to make money here.
Right.
And so that's the big thing of understanding. When you're on the road, you are a professional on the road. You're not out for a joyride. And I try to say that to anybody that says, hey, I'm thinking about becoming a truck driver. There's a difference between you on your own just driving around seeing stuff. You might have time in Kansas to stop at the world's largest ball of twine. As a truck driver, you will too, but you'll see it at 65 miles an hour as you pass it. Like, there's not this, you are on the road to make money. And the big thing is we want to do that with you, because if you make money, we make money, we're all happy. And so part of that is that MPG bonus. The person that is above and beyond, we want to make sure it gets recognized. And it's a big thing for other drivers, because I don't care who you are, you want somebody to emulate. You want something to work towards. If you are the same driver that you are today, that you are in 5 years, that's not a success story. You want to grow, you want to get better, you want to go on to other things. And so that's the key with us, is we really want to develop your career. We bring you in because you're a professional. What keeps you with us and keeps you going successfully is because you're going to grow above and beyond that.
Definitely. 100%. And this right there, what you're talking about, hands down, is driver IQ.
Oh, it is. It is. And the big moral of that, because it kind of leads into something else you'll talk about, though, is it's not, we don't have one type of driver. So it's not one type of driver that gets this MPG bonus. It's a diverse group. If you look over the last 2 years, every race, every nationality, every division, everything. The big thing is there's not a stereotypical driver. So if a driver's sitting there going, well, I'm averaging 7 miles a gallon, they can change it. Like, they can adapt to it and change it. It is something that they control. The key is if you go into it thinking, I'm never going to hit it, you're never going to hit it. And so the big thing is the diversity of the winners of that is kind of a testament to MVT. We don't have a stereotypical driver. The biggest thing, if you look for a stereotype, is somebody that's just looking to grow in their career.
I love that stereotype.
With that said, I'd like to talk about diversity.
Yes, let's talk about diversity. So it is 3 things that the Faces of the Road 2024 calendar I want to discuss here. Well, I guess 4 things, because this definitely is a celebration of our heroes and diversity of the road. But this is the last week of May, so now we can start talking about June. June is supposed to start our happy life in trucking again. I am here for it. But we are going to be celebrating Earth Month, environmental. We definitely need to have clean earth for us and our kids and other generations to come. And of course, June is Pride Month. So that is definitely going to be on this calendar. And then you have your other celebrations. On the calendar, you have your QR code on this side. Look at there. You have your QR code for your application and our social media icons right here as well. But you definitely have a QR code, so you will be able to take your camera and go directly to it. So you can do what? Fill out the application, us give you a call, and you can start working for one of those hot divisions with MVT. What are you about to say, Pierce?
You got the quote memorized?
No, I don't.
Oh,
So inclusivity is our fuel, diversity is our engine, and unity is our destination. I wrote that quote, so I should have it memorized.
that Webster
Again,
nickname keeps going back and forth.
back and forth, it could be, the age too,
No comment.
No
I'm not
comment.
going down
You're
that
not
pathway.
going down there.
Well, that said, it came out really sharp, though. It's a really nice calendar. My kids love it. I know in the office it's a talking piece there. And the big thing I tell with anybody, we talk about the next generation getting into trucking. A lot of people have a misnomer on what trucking is. They think Smokey and the Bandit, though I'm sure Burt Reynolds still exists and could drive a truck. With that said, all walks of life get into our industry, and the success of our industry is dependent on that as we look at the next generation. Trucking is for a whole lot of people. I'm very honest about it. It's not for everybody.
Right.
It is a lifestyle. It is not just a job. You are in a different lifestyle as a professional on the road. With that said, though, man, woman, any type of background, there's a lot of opportunity in our industry. But the key to it as we talk to the next generation about our industry is going to be, do they see people? Hey, they look like me. That becomes really important because then it becomes a realization that I can do this.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And its calendar, not only is it races, nationality, ethnicities, but it's different ages. And we know that we are definitely trying to get the younger folk, 18 to 21, in here to help with a lot of everything and definitely skilled stuff. Everybody doesn't want to go to college.
Yep.
So,
There's a lot of great occupations out there, about 3.8 million jobs right now that are open that pay more than the household income, but do not require a college education. They aren't as sexy when you talk to a school guidance counselor because they don't come with that 4-year degree. But I'd much rather have a job paying $70,000 to $90,000 a year with no debt than a job paying $14 an hour and I have $100,000 in student loans due.
And we have to sit here and pray that somebody, gets rid of our student loans for us.
I will just say this. I'm not trying to create any controversy, but if you have a bachelor's degree in philosophy, you have a long road ahead of you. Good luck to you.
Yes. Come on and just join us in the trucking game.
I just don't want to be the one stuck paying for your education afterwards.
Absolutely. But let's do this. I want to, for Kayla, if you could please play the Joe commercial that shows the inside of the beautiful cobalt blue beast. I definitely want to play that because I like the fact that the MVT condos are made for sleepers, but it could be a solo driver in there as well. I mean, made for teams. The sleeper is, but it can be a solo in there as well. So you are able to see how it's so very roomy. That's so important. So if you could just definitely play that for us, Kayla.
At Mesilla Valley Transportation, every driver is behind the wheel of a late model International LT, a truck that takes comfort, convenience, and safety to a whole new level. Join us as we explore the impressive features of this powerhouse on wheels. The open road is full of surprises, and sometimes that includes unexpected encounters with wildlife. But worry not, the International LT has you covered. The front end protection guard offers an extra layer of defense, protecting you from animal strikes. Drive with confidence, knowing that you're shielded from the unexpected. We all know how important it is to keep our batteries charged, and our International LTs have your back. The Cummins X15 is equipped with an auto start feature, ensuring that your batteries are automatically recharged when they run low on volts. It's a seamless process that keeps you powered up and ready to hit the road. Disc brakes and an engine brake provide reliable and safe stopping power when you need it most. You can have peace of mind knowing that you're in control. Safety is at the forefront of what we do. Our International LTs are equipped with top-of-the-line safety features to ensure your well-being while out on the road. These tractors are equipped with Bendix fusion protection, collision mitigation, and lane departure warning. Achieving good fuel efficiency deserves recognition. With the International LT, your efforts don't go unnoticed. When you consistently achieve impressive miles per gallon, the International LT rewards you with increased speed. It's a little extra motivation to keep you pushing for better fuel economy. After a long drive, you're ready for a well-deserved break. With the International LT, you can enjoy your rest period in absolute comfort. Thanks to its auxiliary power unit, you can keep the driver's cabin heated or cooled just the way you like it. No matter the weather outside, you'll always find your sweet spot within our International LTs. The International LT understands that comfort extends beyond driving. It's a space where you can truly feel at home. I'm a big guy, and I have room to move around in here. With plenty of room to spare, the International LT accommodates even the tallest drivers. And there's ample storage for all your clothes, cooking essentials, and tools, making life on the road even more convenient. Speaking of cooking, bring along your appliances and don't sacrifice any luxuries thanks to all of our International LTs being equipped with built-in inverters. Dry your hair, make a smoothie, or play a game, all from the comfort of your truck. We take pride in our well-maintained fleet. And if by chance you do come across something wrong on your truck, you're never far from help thanks to our valuable relationship with Penske. With more than 750 brick and mortar Penske shops nationwide, their expert team is always ready to assist you. From routine maintenance to unexpected repairs, they'll get you taken care of and back on the road in no time. And there you have it. Just a few things about this late model International LT that make MVT the place to be.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I mean, it's not much to say about that other than Joe kind of made me hungry. We're talking about how big everything was in there, and he was able to make a smoothie. So that's all I was thinking about is a nice green smoothie, being able to make it in there. So
One of the things we talked about here is how nice the truck is, but part of we discussed earlier is the orientation. Part of that orientation is also to get you familiar with the truck. Trucks are very technology driven at this point now. It is not like just getting in a normal vehicle and going down the road. There's a lot of moving parts. From top to bottom of the truck, we go over it with you in detail. The APU unit, how to operate it, what certain issues might come up and what they mean, how to address them. Any feature that is in the truck that we go over so that you know how to operate it effectively before you leave. Additionally, you get a chance to inspect that truck and review the truck thoroughly from top to bottom before you leave on that first load with it. And the nice thing with our relationship with Penske is, let's say that you're on a run, and like I said, we pre-plan 2 to 3 days out. We'll go point A, point B, point C as an example. One of the things is, let's say that you're running Division 410 and you leave out of Nashville and you head to Louisville and something is wrong with the truck, but they need to fix it. They have hundreds of locations around the country and we get subunits. So as an example, we don't want you sitting waiting for that truck being repaired. They will give you a subunit, you'll go about your business, and when you come back through that market, you can then get your truck again. That relationship with Penske, along with having good driven equipment in the beginning, allows you the opportunity to get the most miles possible and make as much money as possible. Can't state it enough, the trucks are fantastic, in great condition, but the relationship with Penske is really where the value proposition is for a driver. You won't be in a situation where you're just stuck waiting for 2 days for your truck to get repaired. I don't care what company you go to, layover pay never makes up the difference of those lost miles. So if we can get you into a truck so you can keep moving forward, that gets looked at. And I will tell anybody, if you're judging a company, if they're going to be a good fit for you, what is the game plan when things go wrong? Trucking is not going to go perfectly. Weather, maintenance issues, canceled load, truck orders not used, a whole bunch of things in trucking can happen. The real test for a company is when things don't go as planned. How they act at that moment is the true tale of the tape on if you're with a good carrier or you're with a deadbeat.
Because the end of the world will happen
It will.
in trucking. It definitely will happen. So what is the plan B and the plan C?
Yep.
Because the plan B is one thing because we know it will happen, but then the plan C is when a tornado comes.
Yep.
So then what? So 100%, you want to be with a company that has things in order, systems in place already. Not saying we'll get it figured out as we go. That's not what you want to do, because if your wheels ain't turning, you ain't earning. So that is 100% when you are a truck driver. So what we want to do, I want you all to be so safe because from one side of the country to another, we are having some really bad weather, except for in El Paso. Apparently,
Oh, it's always dry.
yeah,
Yeah.
God is just favoring them a little bit. Got some good folk down there. But I just want you all to be very, very safe. And we will be here on Tuesday, but when it is be a new month, it'll be June, and I know that things are going to be favorable on us, the freight gods.
We have some things moving in the right direction, and considering the freight recession that's taken place here over the last 12 months, even when a driver is not with MVT, I want them to be doing well. So if it's with MVT or with one of our direct competitors, you don't like to see drivers go through hardship through no fault of their own. And it's the challenging part whenever there's a recession. It is survival of the fittest at the company level, but at the individual driver level, you hate to see good drivers in a situation that becomes a no-win situation quickly. And so if there's a bright side to this, we will still see mergers and acquisitions probably for the remainder of the year. But if the drivers are in a good freight environment, the landing spot in those types of scenarios becomes much brighter.
Yeah, definitely. So just be safe and everybody stay encouraged, and we'll see you guys Tuesday. It'll be June. It'll be the second part of the year, and freight guys will be happy with us. All right. See you guys Tuesday, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Bye bye.